Hello everyone, this is Donnie, aka Elevated with Dota Alchemy. Thank you for tuning in again today. And today's video is just kind of going to be a reflection on TI8 and my experience of attending the event and what I think about OG winning TI and what that means for the professional Dota 2 scene. There's a lot of people that I've talked to and I've seen people writing about it online and vlogging about it, that TI is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, tournaments in esports, and TI8 specifically is one of the best that's ever happened. And that was definitely my experience of being there, both in terms of the competitiveness of the teams, the prize pool, the venue, the content surrounding it. And so there's just something really special about TI8. And I think that OG's run, the miracle run that we saw, is really important actually to the Dota scene and the pro circuit as a whole. What they did, what OG did, showcased something that it predates TI. It predates Dota. It predates the matchmaking system. And it kind of brings us back to a time when we would just play Dota. It takes us back to Dota 1 or whatever video game we started out playing competitively, because what OG showcased in their run at TI8 was just the simple act of competitiveness. The fact that we all play Dota at its core because we want to compete, we want to challenge ourselves, we want to, measure ourselves against the competition. And that's what Dota is all about. It's not about MMR, it's not about the money. Despite what Sumail said, I'm sure that he wouldn't have had his face in his hands crying at the end of EG getting eliminated if it was just about the money, because EG walked away with several $1 million, and it's not a bad compensation for playing a video game. So it's really about the title. It's really about being the best and winning games. And that's why we all play Dota 2. And OG did this in their own way. They played the Dota that they wanted to play. They had freedom. They had creativity. They drafted off-meta heroes. They put their players in situations that were not necessarily the meta situations. They were kind of saying, you know what? Maybe we don't have to win the early game. Maybe we can just draft team fight or late game heroes and then just kind of hold on and get to those areas of the game. Whereas everybody else seemingly was just wholly focused on crushing the lanes and winning as early as possible. And so OG kind of put their own thumbprint, their own fingerprints on the event, because especially game 5, they drafted 5 heroes that didn't have win rates above 45% at the event. They drafted a hero like Rubik that everybody said was like basically the worst hero in the game. And they drafted Ember Spirit, who had seen almost no play in the main event. They drafted Zeus, another hero that had almost no play in the main event, and it was very rarely seen in the mid-roll. And this just kind of sticking to their own style was really kind of special to watch, because you could just see that they didn't care what other people were doing. They were going to put themselves in a situation that was comfortable for them and basically screw what the meta is, screw what the rest of the professional scene thinks. And I thought that that is just another example of why we play Dota. Back in the day, before MMR, before money was involved in the scene, people played the game because they wanted to showcase their creativity and their skill and their strategy. And this is what OG did at TI. And this is what I think a lot of us can learn from. I know that I personally get heavily caught up in just grinding games and grinding MMR from time to time. I feel like I need to have a higher and higher number to prove that what I'm saying is correct. And I know that Jenkins feels the same way. Oh, got to get to top 100, got to get to the top 50, you got to get to the top 10 because there's some sort of weird validation in having this specific number. And OG, while they obviously are all very skilled players, didn't really seem to care what the status quo was. And that was extremely refreshing. That's something that I think everybody should kind of keep in mind as they approach competition and the game of Dota. Mistakes that OG made were never really halting their momentum. You know, you play a game of Dota and somebody makes a mistake and everybody gets upset and they're like, oh, the game is over. The one mistake was made. We can't win this game anymore. And OG didn't have that approach. If they made a mistake, that was just part of the process. That was part of the game. They lost all of their lanes in many games. They were down 20K, 30K, and it was just part of the process of the game. And they were just playing the game that was presented to them in this particular scenario. And I think that that is super interesting because at the end of the day, that is all that Dota is at its core. Is you're given a set of circumstances, you're given a set of heroes, whether you get outdrafted, whether you get outplayed in a certain part of the game, it's all part of the game. And if you just kind of let those specific parts of the game dictate everything, then you're missing out on the entire complexity that makes Dota so fun to play. When OG was down, they tried harder. When the pressure got higher, they stayed calm. They focused more. And if they had an outdraft, if they were outdrafted, they took their arguably weaker heroes and then through clever itemization and excellent strategy, found a way to win games that even the casters and the analysts were saying were unwinnable. People were flabbergasted when OG was pulling off these wins over Evil Geniuses, over LGD. And sure, people will blame it on those teams throwing. Or they'll blame it on one particular player on one team throwing the game. Or not doing enough. But the fact is, those opportunities would have never appeared if OG had just kind of rolled over and died when they were down by 20,000 net worth. So all it really took was just sheer force of will. And I've spoken with Seb at a previous event. I've spoken with Jerix at a previous event. And these are players that really just firmly believe on like the power of belief. They believe in themselves. They believe in their teammates. And they believe that they have the ability to overcome these really tough situations. And through that belief, they're able to give themselves opportunities to make crazy things happen. So that's why I think this particular event and why TI8 being won by a team like OG, who everybody wrote off, is so important because, and that's why I want to thank OG and thank, the TI8 experience, because for me, it really brought a lot of this into perspective. The MMR doesn't matter. The reward of winning the game doesn't really matter. It's all about just trying as hard as you can and giving yourself an opportunity to win. And, anyone can win a game where you outdraft your opponents. Anyone can win a game where you win every single lane. You don't have to be a good player. But it's something really special to overcome the odds, especially when they're all stacked against you. Those are the games that we remember. We've all been in those crazy 80-minute games, mega creep comebacks, down by 30,000 net worth, and somehow you pull it out, and your hands are shaking at the end of those games. Your heart is beating so fast, and you even have to I have to stand up and go get a drink of water, leave the room. I can't play another game of Dota just because the whole experience was so intense. Those are the games that we remember. Those are the ones that keep us playing Dota 2. If every game was easy, the game would be boring. So, congratulations to OG on their title. And thank you from myself, and really from the entire Dota community, for reminding us why we play Dota 2. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.